Freedom at last. The Annunaki contract is ended, Sananda. It is the middle of the night, and I have awakened Catherine to ask her to take down this message to all of you. Here in the company of heaven, we have just met to discuss a monumentally important event, and it was decided we should get the news to you as quickly as possible. This past day, Saturday, the 16th of May, 2015, in the Temple of Light there was a phenomenal shift that will affect all humankind. In what would seem by most people to be an impossible coincidence, it was possible to bring together three of the key players who could undo something that was done thousands of years ago. I will explain by describing how it came about. A beautiful young woman, whose name I will not reveal at this moment, contacted Catherine to ask her for a private meeting to discuss something of importance. She was not exactly sure why, but she had been nudged by her intuition to call Catherine for a session. She had written to say she did not feel an affinity for the visual centering practice, but perhaps a channeling session would reveal what she felt called to discover. Catherine tuned into her reluctance, and as soon as their Skype session began, she joked with Ella about her comment, and began to explain to her why the visual centering was the quickest way to make contact with her higher self, her twin, and with God. It creates the strong connection between the diamond center in the brain, the heart and the solar plexus, to help establish balance, a sense of command, and personal integrity. As she looked deeply into Ella's eyes, and her soul, Ella began to move away from the fixed position she had held in her brain at times of fear or anticipation. She began to clear the inner light channel from her crown, down through her brain, heart, solar plexus, all the way to her feet and into the center of the earth. She was then shown to reach upward to connect with Mother and Father, completing the circuit that puts you all in the light. With her light channel open, like a tiny thread of life connecting her to all that is, she struggled to focus, falling again and again into a state of semi-consciousness, as if she would faint. At these times, her eyes would go dead and lifeless, as if a switch had been turned off in her brain. They continued to work, and little by little, Ella was able to hold on for moments, expanding her light channel to take in more light from Mother and Father, feeling their love pouring down on her. As she took command of her own faculties, and the sense of joy at being connected began to sparkle in her eyes, the computer screen went blank. They re-established the connection and began again, focusing, feeling her sense of command, and expanding her light channel to take in more. Each time she began to consciously take hold with real gusto, she would then immediately lose her grip and fade into the faint, or if she managed to hold on for long seconds, the screen would again go blank. This process of deep concentration and the application of sheer will, trying again and again, allowed Ella to get the feel of how she got a grip on herself, and how she let go. She also acknowledged that it was she who was probably breaking the electrical connection at the moment of triumph when she felt truly alive and aware. She then put her foot down, literally and psychologically, and with each try she became more determined and more skillful at keeping the hold on herself and her precious channel of light. Catherine called in Christine, followed by Faith and Jade, the two young women who are living with them, so the whole family could see how Ella was by then able to demonstrate how it looked when she fainted, and how she pulled herself out of it. It was a familiar process to all of them, having practiced this same focusing work, and having felt the same tendency to faint and let go. The young women were still feeling the struggle to maintain their hold, sometimes falling into what Jade called her dual state of lifelessness and negativity. Together they practiced, watching Ella closely, each one adding their sense of determination and joy at finding the light within them. As all reached the point of triumphant command, Christine said, "Ella, I am being shown that you carry the key to unlock this for all. When you are able to free yourself, together with Faith and Jade, you are the key to releasing all humankind from this. Faith and I have been working in the next room to do this very exercise, and asking Mother and Father to free her and all humans from this thing that causes them to lose their hold on themselves and fall all the way back into a state of complete forgetfulness, where they suddenly can't remember the love and light that was so real to them a moment before. In fact, it was just before this session that Catherine had sat with Christine and appealed to Mother and Father to please free all humankind from this terrible defect that keeps humans imprisoned in their own thoughts. This thing that seems to disconnect them from the ability to see and feel the love and brilliant light around them. It plunges people, even the most determined lightworkers, back into the negative programming of doubt, helplessness, victimhood and rage, in various shades of intensity. Every time they begin to break free, Catherine had appealed to Mother and Father and the Council, to allow the restoration of our DNA, the upgrade needed to correct this flaw in the system. which caused people to be unable to ask for what they needed because they could not see they needed it. The damage of thousands of years of abuse and systematic programming did not allow humankind to even realize there was a block in their thinking and feeling patterns. This block which prevents them from realizing it when they begin to confuse what is real with what is imaginary. She was told by Mother that there was still a free will issue to be addressed. The pieces began to fall together for them, as Christine and Catherine felt the dramatic shift taking place in Ella, Faith and Jade. Christine received the information, which came in waves, that it was the original contract between the Dark Sisters and the Annunaki they were now bringing to completion. It had been agreed long ago that humankind would allow an element on their DNA to be suppressed in order to experience separation from Source. They had been falsely convinced this would give them more varied and expansive experiences during their Earth incarnations. In fact, it made them more vulnerable to the control and programming of the Dark Masters. Nevertheless, the agreement was signed by all who were to come to Earth in human form. The alteration in the strands of the double helix created a distortion in the brain and body of humans which interfered with the direct processing of signals from the environment and from higher dimensions. It created interference with humankind's ability to experience their own multidimensionality and their connection to higher dimensional beings. It was this distortion that caused people, especially those who had been raised with fear, to resist, even reject loving assistance from others and to mistrust love and light itself. The group working together saw this effect in themselves. Every attempt to raise their own vibration, through experiencing loving and joyful connection with Mother and Father and each other, caused an unexpected plunge into its opposite, mistrust, negativity, and isolation. It was apparent that the three young women suffered from the same deficit, and so they took it on together. Catherine guided them to see in their mind's eye the DNA spiral with the spot on the ladder that had been turned off. It lit up as a red signal, the location of the original miscreation. They focused on that place, healing and restoring it to its original purpose and function. The result was exhilarating, thrilling for all of them. They beamed and jumped for joy at their new freedom. Christine heard me transmitting to her the story of their success, and the extent to which this was a monumental shift that would benefit all mankind. It was a historic event because of what they had done, and who these incarnated souls were. The long-suffering incarnations of the Archangel Sisters who had fallen into the delusions of darkness so long ago. They had finally broken free of their higher selves and had claimed their own free will birthright to live in the light. You see, without the conscious knowledge of what they were creating, this group of courageous women had come together to restore themselves. In so doing, they initiated a shift that has now been proclaimed in the high realms. Humankind is now declared by Mother and Father, our creators, to be restored to wholeness. No one will be subjected to this crippling handicap, ever again, and those on Earth now are hereby freed of this ages-long deficit. This declaration is finally able to be brought to fruition because the following conditions have at last been met. 1. At least 3. The number of creation, of the human incarnates of the fallen souls who had been the original creators and signers of the contract must ask for it to be nullified. 2. They must be those who agree to experience the alteration themselves. 3. They must come together, in human form, to initiate the restoration of their own DNA before it can be done for the rest of humankind. This seemingly impossible feat, that those who have been suppressed to such a degree that they cannot see their own damage must demand their own healing, has at last been accomplished. 2 of the incarnated souls who had been under the control of their higher selves and had finally broken free of their control, met with the one who carried the key codes to unlock the original contract. Standing firmly in their free will consciousness, they jointly demanded their freedom, and so it has been done. We celebrate with all of you, beloved brothers and sisters, as this torturous chapter of the long climb out of darkness for the people of planet Earth finally comes to an end. You can feel the rising energies all around you, can you not? Each being on the planet is being lifted with attuning vibrations into a higher level of consciousness. The effect will be felt immediately by those who are awakened, and many who are not. Colors will look brighter, people will look different, negative feelings will subside, and psychic abilities will come flowing back. Your realization of who you really are and why you are here will come glimmering out of the mist, and you will claim your own innate abilities in a new and delightful way. We are in wonder and in awe of all of you who have forged ahead in spite of the deficits you were saddled with, who have been faithful and resolute in your faith in spite of the tide of programming, religion and social pressure that has weighed you down. You have raised the light quotient, sent your healing energies to terror and to those in need, and you have done it all in spite of overwhelming odds. It is not an experiment we will choose to repeat, because of the terrible losses and suffering it caused, but it has certainly ignited many of you to reach new heights of strength and determination. We honor your courage and your selfless service. Lightworkers everywhere, know that you have made a difference, and that you are an integral part of the moment of completion that was achieved this day. We love you one and all. I am your Sananda, together with Mother, Father, Source and the entire company of heaven, by Catherine E. May, Sid, the 17th of May, 2015.